Happy Friday afternoon to everyone. Welcome to the brand new Rhodes Avenue Park. Before I say just a few comments about the park and some of the other initiatives in the department, I want to give recognize our Councilmember Krikorian. It's here today. Your council member is by far the biggest park champion that you could ever possibly hope for in your local elected officials. So the support that we've got through him and through our state and through all the funding that we get through Assemblymember Adrian Nazarian is here too. So these two gentlemen are everything that you could possibly want in your elected officials, and I am just grateful to be able to partner with both of them and to be able to provide so many new facilities in and around your community. I mean, if you look around the local parks, you have a new child care center that's going to open up across the freeway on the other side of the freeway. You have new playground equipment that was put in there, one of the nicest playgrounds you'll find anywhere in the city, and of course the significant investment that we've done at Whitsett Soccer Fields. None of that's possible. Absolutely none of that is possible without these gentlemen. So please give them a round of applause. And I know he's sick of me saying it, but I have to say it. I just have to say it every time I get a chance to say it. But Councilmember Krikorian has restored rec and parks through many years of necessary cuts, I'll say. You know, it's like we all have to participate as we try to balance our city's budget. We're all part of a city family. But last year we really came out with a whole lot of additional support for resources and staffing. And that is because of Councilmember Krikorian. So please give him another round of applause for that. And I can't really start talking about a new park. And this essentially is a brand new park. I know it was under our ownership, but it really was not being used as a park. And it's, you know, for now you can see that it's something that the local neighborhood can walk over. Especially our senior populations who now have a place to walk and sit and exercise. You know, you could do birthday parties here, bar mitzvahs, whatever you know. I hear there's a I don't know if it's a wedding shower or baby shower maybe tomorrow. I heard something about something being planned, so that's just fantastic that you're going to start using it for those things. This is, you know, what I consider a new park. If you look at the new parks, there's been 38 new parks built in this city since 2013. That's a lot of new parks. It's not nearly enough, but it's a lot of new parks. And I would say that 6 of those 38, including 2 additional parks that are in the works in Council District 2, that'll be 8 new parks out of 40. That's 20% of the new parks in the city of LA have been built in CD2. So again, I want to thank Councilmember Krikorian for support on that. And then lastly, not lastly, but I have a lot of staff here. If you could just raise your hand, our planning staff. Craig Raines, that's the designer of this park. Craig is a machine. I don't know. I'm nothing without Craig. I mean, it's like Craig is downtown doing all these designs and just pumping out park projects that let run up to the other. And so thank you, Craig, for all your fine work. And all of our recreation staff in the back, could you raise your hand? Thank you for being here today. I don't know if we have any maintenance staff. I see friends from LAPD here. Thank you for your partnership. You know, it takes, this is a great city. I mean, we have great relationships with all of our departments, and it takes all of us to pull our own weight. And lastly, I just want to say, before I'll turn it over to the council member, is that as you look around and you look at all this turf, it's a very warm day here in the valley, and we are in a drought. But I want to say that to make sure that the public understands is that since we started our strategic water conservation plan in the department, we've reduced our potable water use by 50%. That's 50%. That's billions of gallons of water. So yes, there is turf here, but we have to do everything we have to do in a balanced approach. So we're looking at other areas of the park system that may have ornamental turf, or maybe could use a synthetic soccer field, but support those projects, because we do have to do our part, and we have to continue to press and keep our foot on the pedal around our water conservation efforts. Our water levels are at really all-time lows, and I am concerned about the future, the park system, but we need to continue to water our sports fields. We need to continue to keep them green. Otherwise, we'll lose our park system. And by the way, when you look at our golf courses and you drive around, you see water running, 85% of our golf courses are on reclaimed water. So I'm sorry to go on a little bit about this, but it's because I know it's going to become more and more public and people aren't going to understand. So it's important that we continue to send that message that when you see that water, particularly at our golf courses, most of that's recycled water. So we're doing a better job of putting up signs and doing all that to make sure the public is aware. But I've rambled on too much. Thank you all so much for being here. Just an absolute pleasure to serve all of you. And I'll turn it over to your council member and our friend, Councilmember Krikorian.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much, Mike. Before we begin, and I'm going to have a few more things to say, and especially a few things to say about Mike as well as our assembly member. But I'd like to ask Andrea Schmidt to come up, please, and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. If you are able to, please rise. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How many of you were born and raised in the San Fernando Valley? A lot. A lot of the folks who are here. Well, if you're as old or older than I, you remember a time when the valley wasn't crisscrossed with all of the freeways that we have now. And this park, if you can remember way back, was part of a much larger single park that was cleaved in half by the construction of that freeway. And so now what was one park is now essentially 4 parks, all in the neighborhood, but divided. And each of them has kind of grown up separately since then. And this area, unfortunately, was one of the more neglected parts of that equation. And so for a long time, this was maintained as green space, but you know, that's about all it was, and sometimes it wasn't even very green. So it's really, really a special day that we're able to bring this space now back to life, thanks to the leadership of this community and our friends at the Department of Recreation and Parks. And Mike was very generous, as he always is, in his comments. But I want to talk just for a minute about the men and women of Recreation and Parks, some of whom are here. Because I was here during the last Great Recession, when we had to do a lot of the cuts that Mike talked about. And the cuts that this department faced are the kinds of things that most managers could never imagine having to confront. They had over a 30% reduction in their staff. And nobody at Recreation and Parks has ever been surplus. You know, every single person working in that department is doing something that's absolutely vital to our quality of life in our neighborhoods, and to our ability to come together as communities, and for our kids to have a safe place to go and to play, especially in some of our community neighborhoods that are, you know, so developed and so overdeveloped and don't have enough green space. And, you know, the men and women of Recreation and Parks, every single day, despite those challenges, despite those cuts, woke up, went to work, and made our parks work for all of us. And I just can't say enough positive things about the way the men and women of Recreation and Parks have kept it all together through not one but 2 recessions now under my watch. And so everybody deserves great praise and great thanks from our community who works for Recreation and Parks. And so I want to invite you all to thank them on behalf of our neighborhood as well right now. So, and especially I want to say a word about Mike, because Mike has been the fearless general manager of this department now for 9 years. Time flies past me. 9 years. And he's going to be leaving that position, and you know, many of us have tried desperately to try to stop that from happening, but he will be moving on. And I just want to say that Mike has had a career here in this city and in this department that has been focused on equity. It's been focused on excellence. It's been focused on environmental sustainability, as he mentioned, and at every corner of this city, Mike Shaw is going to be able to point to something and say, that's part of my legacy. That's what my work has done that's going to pay dividends for that neighborhood for generations to come. And I just can't say enough and praise him high enough for his commitment, for his patience with us, and with his ability to deliver for our community. So Mike Shaw, thank you very, very much for your leadership, and best wishes to you. So, you know, as you look around here, you see how many changes have already been done. This is the culmination of phase 1 of this construction project, and we have smart irrigation systems, we have new turf, we have regionally compatible trees that have been planted, walking paths that are accessible, new benches, new trash receptacles, a new hydration station, fitness stations that are accessible. It has become really a beautiful place for this neighborhood to come, but we're not done. There's still going to be more coming in phase 2 as well, and so I hope that you'll all join us for the groundbreaking of phase 2, which will be coming soon as well. But all of the great things that you're seeing happening here, and you know, this has been a lot of hard work of working with the community to try to identify what the priorities should be, and how we fund it, and how we get these projects delivered. This particular project received a substantial investment of money from the state of California through Proposition 68. And as you'll recall, Proposition 68 was approved by the voters a few years ago to try to infuse money into our neighborhood parks. And you can imagine the competition statewide to try to get little pieces of that Prop 68 money for parks in every city and every town and every county in California. So when we're able to get that kind of funding, it means whether a project goes forward or does not. And none of that could have happened without the leadership and the persistence and the diligence of our Assembly member, Adri Nazarian. And before I bring him up, I just want to say, you know, many people who are in state government like to see their names in the paper. They like to do things that, you know, make a lot of noise, but maybe it doesn't have that much impact really on real people's lives. There's a lot of sizzle. There's not always a lot of steak. And I want to tell you that our Assembly member is more than just about anybody I know in state government. Somebody who focuses his attention on the people in the neighborhoods that elect him, on our neighborhoods, on our communities, how to build a better life for people who live here in the East San Fernando Valley. It's been a hallmark of his career since he's been in state office, and even before that, when he was working in our office for the city of Los Angeles. It has been his singular focus to deliver tangible, real results for the people of the East San Fernando Valley, and it has paid off again and again and again for our neighborhoods. And so I am so honored and pleased to be able to thank him and to recognize our Assembly member, Adri Nazarian.
Thanks, Councilman. After that introduction, I should just say thank you and welcome everyone to the park. But I did want to recognize also one other individual who's here with us, who I think was past his bedtime, and he's going to need to go get his afternoon nap. That's Michael right there. So, hey, Michael, are you enjoying the park? He's already started his nap. So, you know, as corny as that introduction may be, the reality is that that's exactly why we're doing what we're doing. Part of the reason for making sure that this was a walkable and inviting location and a small little oasis to give a breather to the residents in the area was because if you look in this area, you look just to the north, there are several senior facilities right here in this community. And they didn't necessarily have a enjoyable place to be able to walk, nor to even feel safe. So Valley Glen, and this community in particular of Valley Glen, has come a very long way over the course of the last especially 20 years. So, and that's in part due to wonderful city leadership, as well as the maintenance crew and the folks that are always standing in the back safeguarding our neighborhoods, our wonderful police. So thank you for everything that you've been doing. Thank you, Paul, for your wonderful comments. But I gotta say, this has been a wonderful partnership as well, not just because he was my boss formerly, but because we're standing at a cool place where a lot of changes have come right to this little hub of neighborhood. Whether it was the soccer fields, where a piece of legislation I had freed up the money necessary that complemented most of the money that the city put in order to be able to help realize the multiple fields that went into place to build on the original one that was put into place, so that kids aren't kicking up dust, but they're actually playing on a turf. Or about the 10 or 12 years that took, hate to admit that, to finally build all these sound walls. So it's interesting that even though some changes were made to the San Fernando Valley and that oasis that it used to be, and in the name of progress, some changes took place that didn't have very good consequences. We've been slowly trying to restore back and try to make it into the community that it once was, and kind of hopefully revitalize those wonder years that came to be known as the San Fernando Valley. So with that, it's a wonderful day to be with all of you today and to be celebrating a nice new renovated park for everyone's consumption and use, whether 2 or 92. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for being a wonderful partner. It's my privilege to introduce Alicia Bien with the Greater Valley Glen Neighborhood Council Park and Community Improvements Committee. Thank you for your work, and thank you for always being a wonderful service provider to the Neighborhood Council. It's wonderful to see. First of all, second of all, it's also wonderful to see all of you out and about. It's been a long 2 years. Feels like it's been a decade. So it's nice to see everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. To be very equitable. Hello, everyone. So glad to be here. My name is Alicia Bien, and I'm a volunteer with our local neighborhood council, the Greater Valley Glen Neighborhood Council. I am one of many people who volunteer. We have Walter Hall and Andrea Schmidt here as well from the Greater Valley Glen Council. And ideas start here with you, with us. I only got onto the council because I had an idea to start a butterfly garden in another Valley Glen park, the Valley Glen Community Park. So we installed a butterfly garden, my husband and I and another friend, with the approval of the city and with help from these gentlemen, especially Recreation and Parks. So I'd love to see that here in phase 2, a butterfly garden over here at this park as well with our native plants. I do have a few prepared comments that I wanted to say that, speaking about parks, the importance of them. In the city of Paris, France, the architect of the Centre Pompidou, Richard Rogers, claimed that everyone should be able to see a tree from their home window and be able to walk to a small park. That is exactly what this park is. It is a haven of trees and a small park that so many people now in this part of our community can walk to. And in addition to those aspects, we have these improvements thanks to these gentlemen and their teams of staffers and employees. And that is that we can now promote community wellness, encourage activities in children and adults, create safe gathering places, and foster social equality in our community thanks to this park and the pathways and trees and fitness stations that we have. There have already been so many people thanking you all. So I'll just say again, thank you all. And of course, all of your staffers and team members that have helped make this happen. Jeff Camp has been extremely helpful for all of us, and Jackie Keene and Sophia. So thank you all very much. And of course, the LAPD. Wonderful team. Thank you always for supporting us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alicia, and thank you for recognizing our staff, because Assemblymember and I say this all the time. You know, we come and we get to cut ribbons and we get to do things like that, but all of the many, many, many days of work that lead up to this are conducted outside of the public view, without applause, without a lot of praise, and often with a lot of head banging and contention and sometimes criticism by our staff members. And so I just want to take, if you don't already know them, Jackie Keene is my Director of Special Projects, who oversees all of these kinds of projects throughout the district. And you know Jeff Camp, your field deputy here, who is your one-stop shop for all problems that need to be solved that have to do with the city of Los Angeles. And I also want to recognize Hugh Eston, who I saw a moment ago, who is our communications director, who keeps in touch with all of you. And then and of course the boss, my chief of staff, Caro Tarosian, who's over on the right. And I see Stephen Ferguson from Assemblymember Nazarian's office. And Sophia Sudani, is way in the back too, hanging out with Caro. Thank you all very, very much for the work that you do. And now, Alicia mentioned phase 2, and I alluded to it as well. There's still more to be done here, and so I want to bring Mike back up for a moment to talk about what we still have to look forward to.
Well, thank you, Councilmember. Thank you, everyone. So if you look behind you, it's the remaining kind of undeveloped piece of what we're going to do here. I think there's still, it sounds like we may have some still community input that we may need based on what's done today. So we will complete that process and talk to the community about what they want there. But we're really looking to extend this a little bit further. We've got about 2 or 3 blocks of walkable distance that might get us to 3 or 4 blocks by that time we get down there. So it's again disconnecting all of these communities. It's a wonderful way to do it to use the park system to connect all of these residences and communities. You may get to know many of your neighbors that you didn't know by coming to this park. So lots more to come down there in the coming months, Craig? Okay, coming months. So very soon, very soon. So we'll look forward to seeing you all again when we do that. But for now, I think we're going to cut the ribbon across the front here. So thank you again for everybody for coming.
3, 2, 1.
Yay!
All right.